I'm Josh Light with PoliticIt.com here in Albany, New York with Chris Edes. He's a Libertarian candidate running for Senate. How you doing today, Chris?
Good.
Chris, tell us who you're going to vote for in November.
I will be voting for Gary Johnson for president.
How do you feel about Ron Paul?
I was a big supporter of Ron Paul. I went door to door for Ron Paul in the Republican primary, even though I'm not a Republican, because I believe strongly in his views and wanted people to vote for him.
Now, Chris, when we went down to the Republican National Convention, we talked to a lot of mainstream Republicans. We talked to a lot of Libertarians. We talked to a lot of Ron Paul supporters. Mainstream Republicans thought Ron Paul supporters were going to go vote for Mitt Romney. Ron Paul supporters that we've talked to and Libertarians thought that they might vote for Gary Johnson. Who do you think Ron Paul supporters are going to vote for come November?
Well, I think they're going to make a lot of different decisions. I think the Republican Party, in terms of the rules changes it implemented and trying to lock out the Ron Paul delegates, and they wanted to nominate Ron Paul. Mitt Romney would easily have won the nomination. They needed, I think, 5 states. They collected petitions from, I think it was 7 states, and then they just changed the rules right there on the floor to require 8 states. It might have been 8 or 9, but you get the point. And then they changed the rules saying that the individual states could not select their delegates because they didn't like how well Ron Paul had done in the caucuses. And delegates weren't permitted to enter the floor even though they had valid credentials. I mean, there are all kinds of shenanigans going on because they just didn't want their scripted nomination to be interrupted by any chaos and confusion. And I think that put off a lot of Ron Paul supporters and was a tactical mistake. So I think many of them right now are considering their options. I think a lot of them are going to vote for Gary Johnson. A lot of them just really like Ron Paul, and they're going to write in his name on the ballot, regardless of other factors. And I'm sure some of them will vote for Mitt Romney, so I don't think there's really a clear answer. But I'm encouraging them to vote for Gary Johnson.
And do you think New York, who do you think New York Ron Paul supporters are going to vote for, the ones that you've talked to?
The ones I talked to seem to be favoring Gary Johnson. Here in Rochester are the ones I've talked to the most because I know them and I've worked with them. And they seem to like what Gary Johnson has to say a lot more than what Mitt Romney has to say. I mean, I think, and not just Ron Paul supporters, but a lot of conservatives, the only reason they'd vote for Mitt Romney is a kind of lesser of two evils logic, really, because he has not done a lot to appeal to fiscal conservatives, and that's a weakness for him.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.